What a race. Leclerc wins at Ferrari's home track, but we're obviously focusing on the championship fight. And this weekend another twist showed up as Red Bull and especially Helmut Marko and Verstappen are saying that McLaren is driving a car that breaks the rules. Could there be any truth to this? And where are these claims coming from? Is the bendy front wing the secret to McLaren's success? Red Bull helper Helmut Marko wants the FIA to look at this feature on the MCL38 and also the Mercedes front wings. The Austrian said these words during Red Bull's terrible qualifying practice in Monza. Mercedes showed off the so-called flexi wing in 2022, but the flexible front wing seems to work best this year. The German team has already won 3 races in the 2024 season. McLaren is also using this flexi wing on the MCL38 and is pretty happy with how it's working. The British team is getting closer to world champion Red Bull in the constructors' title, with the difference now down to 8 points and only 62 points left between Verstappen and Norris. The worries for Red Bull are about the improvements they added this season not working as well as what their opponents have discovered. Team boss Christian Horner has given an interesting hint about where he thinks the difference is. Christian Horner, Red Bull's team boss, has said before that his team's competitors had seen more benefits from a different front wing idea. I think the front wing is an important area where others have found performance. Horner said, the way the front wings are used is very different. If you look at the angle of the front wings of McLaren and Mercedes, they are very different from the rest of the group. Helper Helmut Marko also noticed the differences in the front wings. The Austrian wants someone to investigate them. The front wings of McLaren and Mercedes should be examined, the Austrian said. It is still not sure if the FIA would listen to Marko's demand. In any case, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez will have to deal with the so-called illegal McLaren and Mercedes cars. So what's so different about it? When it comes to how they're built, both Mercedes and McLaren do things that Red Bull does not. The most obvious example is a trend started by Mercedes in 2022 that had to be changed to follow new rules for 2023. This is the lower rear corner end plate, cut out in semi-detached flap layout, which has been copied by several other teams, especially McLaren. The goal is to control the airflow that spills around that part, which then affects the wake formed by the tire behind it. It is not the only design feature that makes Mercedes and McLaren's front wings different from Red Bull's. The two also handle the separation between the static inboard area of the wing and the adjustable flaps differently. On the MCL38 and W15, the break between it and the next movable flap piece is more diagonally biased. As a result, the two metal separators at the ends of each segment create a vortex. This will be adjusted to make flow downstream to the floor and the side pod undercut better. And as shown in the nose-mounted camera film, the adjustable flap part bends back as speed increases, helping with the difficulty of fighting low speed understeer and high speed oversteer. This movement, or flexible wing if you prefer, clearly changes the shape, direction and strength of any vortex that is being formed. This may be changed to boost performance even more if a team has enough control over how those pieces flex. Flexi wings have recently been a hot topic, with the FIA being able to require that teams use additional cameras during free practice sessions to study the phenomena more. It's a well-known fact that teams use aeroelasticity to boost performance, with various methods giving different outcomes. This is not a new thing since teams may draw from a big backlog of designs and data to get the desired results, and McLaren continued to put pressure on its Formula One competitors, showing off a bunch of changes at the Italian Grand Prix. While some of these tweaks are track-specific for Monza's high-speed characteristics, others show long-term efforts to squeeze out even more performance from the MCL38. The most visible improvements for Monza are always to reduce drag, with the front, rear and beam wings among the smallest seen on the vehicles all year. In McLaren's case, this begins with a revised top flap design for the front wing, which has a crescent-shaped piece shaved off the trailing edge. At Monza, the team also makes more adjustments to the MCL38 side pod and engine cover bodywork in order to make airflow passage to the rear of the vehicle better. Because of this more delicate structure, McLaren chose teardrop-shaped flap pivots over barrel-style ones used in Belgium. As predicted, McLaren has combined this low downforce offering with a single-element beam wing to increase top-speed performance. But the most important upgrades came to their front wing once again. And when Verstappen was asked to explain Red Bull's downturn in form last weekend, he argued that it was simply a matter of his team's opponents making bigger improvements with a different front wing idea. The one thing Red Bull is lacking, or doing things the legal way according to them, very different to the rest of the group. But Verstappen revealed more problems after the F1 race in Italy. I thought we got the most out of the car in terms of position, but not in the way we approached the race, Verstappen said. The pace was not strong enough, so we had to drive our own race and had a bad pit stop. Verstappen reveals that he and teammate Sergio Perez had a problem during the race, which prevented the Red Bulls from running at full power. Moreover, he judges that in hindsight, his F1 team strategy was not the best. I think we did not optimize our strategy. Some cars did a one-stop and we did a two-stop. and that was not the best choice. Most of the race we couldn't drive at full power because of a problem, so that doesn't help. All in all, a bad race. Verstappen continued. It would still have been a bad race with full engine power, but maybe we would have been more competitive. We were driving in no man's land. If we don't change anything about the car, it will be bad from now until the end of the season. We have a lot of work to do afterwards. Verstappen was unapologetic about his own race. It was just another dramatic race. Nothing was running. The car was not running at all. I didn't like the strategy at all, and the pit stop was absolutely crap, and we had to drive with less power. So basically everything went wrong, said a unhappy Dutchman. Verstappen was also unhappy about the strategy. Where we drove didn't matter anyway, but you still tried to drive your best race. But without two stoppers, that was definitely not the case. On both hard and medium tires we were too slow. The way things are going, we are not going to win any more races, but it is what it is. While he currently leads the Drivers' Championship by 62 points, that advantage might be gone soon if things continue like this, especially with that attitude. Verstappen was hopelessly off the pace by his high standards, finishing qualifying 7/10 behind pole position after struggling with his not drivable RB20 around the Monza track, and in the race, he looked lost in 6th place, only overtaking George Russell because he made mistakes. He doesn't expect things to get much better in the upcoming races either. If you already have balance problems over one lap, they are not suddenly solved in the race, he said. It can go downhill fast if it continues like this, but that is what I have always said. It raises the question, has Red Bull listened to the three-time world champion? Worryingly, Verstappen claims they have, but don't really know what to do to fix the car's problems. They certainly listen to me, but it is very difficult to find a solution, he explained. I think they are listening, but they don't really know what to do yet. That's a problem. However, Red Bull is trying hard to find a solution. We are checking things, but that just takes longer, Verstappen added. It is not like I thought one day after the summer break, now everything is suddenly going well. We need more time to test and evaluate certain things. Unfortunately, that takes a bit longer than we would like. Hopefully we can come up with something at some point that improves the balance. At the same time, the competition is not sitting still. As Verstappen admits during his news conference in Monza, that it is alarm phase 1 for Red Bull. The question is, will they be able to catch up, and are they right? Are Mercedes and McLaren running illegal front wings, or is this just a tactic to take the heat off themselves? What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.